The Bible tells us that the giants roamed the earth in those days, and so does the true geological, paleoanthropological and archaeological record. This has massive implications on every record that is currently being taught at an academic level, especially geological time, and it's truly nothing compared to what has been discovered from around the world, which should change the status quo about reality, about ancient history, about ourselves, about the gods, about who's the enemy of humanity, and why history is repeating itself. Oh man. The geologic record is connected to the theory that microorganisms evolved into more advanced life forms over millions of years, resulting in something coming out of the sea which eventually created mammalian life, which we in turn evolved from an ape ancestor that lived during the tertiary period or older. This nonsensical theory suggests that after an extinction event, new life forms came into being which never existed before, and that the culminating 5 major extinction events could be a result or driver of the biological changes. The question for me is, do you know what most geology is and how petrification works? This rock has this microorganism in, and thus it means that it came from the second epoch and is millions of years old. Then to date, another rock has that same age in another location because the same microorganisms within it is a ridiculous way to demonstrate the age of rock formation, which are certainly not millions of years old, as all geology was once alive life, turned to stone, petrified. As you will soon see, this is all part of the deception to make you believe the earth is much older than what the Bible says, but understanding the academic restrictions will help you see the truth. I'm also not saying it's 6,000 years old either, just to be clear, as that is a misinterpretation from the Sumerian texts and is more likely connected to how long we as a species have been here. This is complicated as it's time itself that is the problem. The Sumerians call it the Great Cycle, which was 3,600 years. This I believe is how long the game takes to go from the Golden Age to the fall from grace. This could be the second time around for humanity, as the first peoples played the first game. Those that had faith in the creators came back. The stone tools developed by these people today has no Neolithic evolution development, and they already knew how to make Neolithic flintstone implements. They still to this day have faith in the star peoples, and I'm going to show you a few documentaries and their beliefs, and how what I'm saying is absolutely in parallel to what we as a society should nevertheless go back to together. Before, before anything happens, and they want us to run to the government, we should have already some kind of knowledge and a little bit of a society together where we can actually go, right, we're not doing what you say, we're actually going to do it our own way. Fuck you. We're not going for that. Sure as hell try not to. So we as a society do not believe this place to be special, and so this is the root of all our species problems, as we have fallen from grace thanks to this massive deception upon our minds about the mechanisms that actually govern our existence, thanks to their technologies and lies. The fossil record has been abused massively in regard to understanding geological process of time. If I am mistaken, the fossil record, according to the current principles, shows us that in the past, the flora and fauna, that of the dinosaurs, was much larger than any of today's animals, and so by that notion, all life as we see today is contemporary to this geological epoch. I honestly cannot tell you the true scale of this deception within this topic, as they have over the centuries used various different skeletal remains together to create something that never existed. Fragments or partial skeletons are all we generally find, that then gets put together through an educated guess from the knowledge of similar fauna. When we look at the landscape with our eyes, we see that the animals here today, albeit much smaller in diversity ranges and in sizes, are the same as those during an earlier epoch, that of the giants or titans. During this epoch, the flora and fauna were much larger than they are today and more genetically diverse. One must remember though that our whole world consists of a variation of different sizes of animals, and that this was the same throughout all geological epochs, including our current one now. And by which I mean, like, there's no doubt that 95% of all life got wiped off the face of the earth. A couple of times, at least. The flood and the last game, which was the wars of heaven, which are still going on today. They're literally, you're in the end of days, and the war of heavens is taking place between the gods and the demon elite who have used us to build their technology, and now want to use that technology to destroy everything that the gods created of this world. They have lied to you about creation, and because of that, they've been able to get away with it. Climate studies is another important part of understanding the past that does demonstrate significant data regarding interpretation of the geological and archaeological record. However, the last major event, the Younger Dryas event, is more than likely at the time of the biblical flood. This is obviously a problem for the academics, as they don't want this to be known. They don't know what caused it, and I am going to prove to you that it does through various videos that it bloody is true. Honestly, the things I found, I am going to show you soon. It's understanding the creation of the earth itself, which is something truly remarkable to believe, without seeing the evidence to support it, which of course there is to explain where the water comes from during the time of the Great Deluge. NASA can clearly tell us water comes from space, but not space is water. That the earth is somehow plumbed into the waters of heaven through advanced engineering, which allowed them to bring so much water into this earth. This obviously sounds ludicrous, but understanding the laws of cosmology will demonstrate the earth to be no doubt created by some incredibly magnificent advanced civilization working together as one for the benefit of everyone. Now, I might be wrong about that, actually. I still think that because the creation, everything's plumbed in, and there's, you know, that's a possibility, but it could also be to do with, you know, what's going on today with mass weather manipulation and the globe, you know, and people getting flooded left, right and centre, and how the whole world's being flooded separately but at the same time, so to speak, with geoengineering. And also just a thought about if they've got stuff up there, and we've been hearing a lot of noises up there in low Earth orbit, and scraping noises and like weird sounds, and basically what if they're the ones they're trying to cut the firmament, you know, whether they're trying to break through the protective field that protects the firmament, which is the toroidal field, because the stars are actually relief underneath it, and that's why they twinkle. Hold on. Now, this obviously sounds ludicrous, but understanding the laws of cosmology will demonstrate the Earth to be no doubt created by some incredibly magnificent advanced civilization. So, this is where the Elohim come in. This is where the many gods come in. This is where I've had, you know, contact with the Galactic Federation. So, and they go by many names, and so does the demonic forces. You know, it's a minefield, because it's literally, you're dealing with two time periods where they've mashed them together in a way to make you believe a lie about history too. And pretty soon, if they carry on the way they're going, we are going to see human sacrifices in the street. You know, in public, by what I mean, rituals and the acceptance of paedophilia and a one world whore Babylon culture that will be eradicated from this earth. No doubt about it. The gods will return, because it is destined to happen. The Vedic creation texts also offer answers that suggest this beautiful place and everything in it was created, including us. Unfortunately, it is all being destroyed now by the enemy of our creators, who are imitating the work of these advanced civilizations to create their own world here on Earth. It is self-evident that they now, through global collaboration, manipulate and control the weather by use of geoengineering chemicals such as barium aluminum and using advanced frequency devices such as HAARP. Climate change is being used in a bad way by these people to get away with these heinous acts of weaponized weather against all life on this earth, while making us pay for their actions because of global warming, when it's them that are doing it, as it states in Revelation. Further, they have spread nano-smart dust across the earth using geoengineering, and we are all infected. It is imperative you do not take any technology into the body, such as the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip, as you will lose your soul eventually. The rivers are created, and here is a logical argument for why. With all this excess water coming from global warming, how come this water does not create rivers? The processes of which they say takes millions of years has no bearing on the geological landscape and regarding the weather and the formation of rivers. The water flows to the lowest point that ends up into the sea, and as we see today, it takes everything in its path on the surface with it, as it is a destructive force. Other logical arguments that could create rivers, such as the Grand Canyon, is through water but on a much larger scale, such as the biblical flood. If it is not created, then it happens very rapidly and not over millions of years, again showing that the age of the earth could be relatively young. No matter how much rain, it cannot form any river which we have been labeling as nature. Nature is creationism. The rivers are created with advanced machines, and there is no such thing as oceans. Only rivers, lakes, and the seas is mentioned in the Bibles. These implications have massive bearings on the process in which the flint can be eroded through geological time, and just like carbon dating needs to be considered into their collaborations when doing carbon dating, for example. It doesn't. This is what I'm saying. Everything is just to keep the status quo going. Noted, but and people ask, oh, what kind of dates do you want? Okay, no worries. And they'll go, all right, there's your dates. 3, yes, we were bang on, yay. Noted by those that work with creating flint implements, the careful examination of the characteristics of the handiwork of man has clear indicators when comparing them to natural products. This is certainly a questionable statement. This lithic methodology served the purpose of proving that man's origins extended back through the Pleistocene age, and yet the same methodology was applied by the research of the Eolithic debate, some experts in their field, and yet it isn't known fact today that geologically speaking, man's origins go back further to the tertiaries. If it was just implements being found and nothing else, I would have doubt, but seeing as they found anatomical modern human skeletons, absolutely like ourselves, then subsequently covered it up, leads me to believe that this evidence does not support the theory of evolution and proves geological principles are based on lies. This topic brings with it more questions about the flint knapping techniques and the process which can form similar techniques from the true natural process of geological time. Now, the things they want actually me to do on this was more about this, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I did the work, and I absolutely, changed all of it, to do what I'm doing now. Archaeology plays a major role in the interpretation of the past, but sadly again is another highly restricted subject which has thousands of so-called out-of-place artifacts that never gets into the academic interpretation, and they're real genuine artifacts, discovered. It's not like they've made them up. They're like, and then they label all these things, oh, that's just a ceremonial thing, that's just that, yeah, nothing, oh, nah, it's just votive. The liars. The reason why these artifacts are out of place is because they do not fit the current theories, and so do not think you should incorporate all evidence regardless of where that interpretation takes you. So much deception in this category, just like all other subjects, that it's nothing but evidence of the elite trying to keep the power away from the people, as truth is our only salvation from the demonic forces that have lied to you about reality and you. Because they want your soul, they want your temple, they want to hive mind humanity, and they want to destroy this earth. The study of ancient architecture is another subject that has some investment in the academic society, but just like all other core subjects has been abused to deceive us about the remarkable engineering of the pyramids of the world. The uncovering of evidence of major weathering from the Sphinx Plateau enclosure and subsequent climate studies shows that it had been battered by torrential rain, which happened much further back in time than what is currently being taught when it was built and who built it. Alongside this weathering evidence on the Sphinx is yet another piece of evidence from a very important field that is associated with ancient sites, that is archaeoastronomy. The research done by the Pyramid of Giza and its alignment with Orion's belt demonstrates that it could not have been built at the date proposed by archaeological discoveries, because they use surface finds to date older sites, and I am going to show you the documents and I'm going to prove it yet again. There's so much stuff to show you. Often the problem is dating sites which are much older, like the Pyramid of Giza, with surface finds from later cultures, which isn't by accident, as they do not want you learning the truth about the golden one world culture mentioned in the Bible and the connection to all the ziggurats in the world, all the Sumerian connection to the Anunnaki, to the gods, to the Elohim, to the rebuilding of all the structures. It's crazy, and they've lied to you about, you know, everything to do with history, to do with the golden age, the alignment, and then they have the audacity to, you know, use the end of days. So all the stuff you see about, you know, the sacrifices and stuff, and that's the golden age. The alignment of evidence alone suggests that the pyramid, as well as many other ancient sites, were built before anatomical humans were supposed hunter-gatherer farmers some 10,000 plus years ago. In fact, when you incorporate the paleoanthropological evidence for giants that once walked the earth, one must hypothesize that the giants were the ones who built the pyramids, not just at Giza but around the world, connected to the Sumerian world culture and its understanding. It's understanding how all these subjects have been weaved together to create a web of lies that distorts our perception of reality away from the words of our creators. It's only when you incorporate in those everything else, including those artifacts, as well as countless other discoveries, into your overall view of a bigger picture, that you will change your perception about reality itself and know that you have been lied to your entire life about everything. So it's a minefield to get through this information, I know, and I know this one's a bit of a long one today, but thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, subscribe.